United 1, Brighton 2 as our first game of the season passes us by very, very quickly. And immediately after one game, I spoke about the baptism of fire to Erik ten Hag in terms of arriving back off pre-season tour and dealing with the Ronaldo situation, the journalists, etc., etc. Martial gets injured. That was a baptism of fire. And there's the real baptism of fire for Erik ten Hag. Just not ready for the season. Let's start by this. I'll talk about the game, but of course we signed the three players in Malacia, Eriksson, and Martinez. But it just shows you that the heart of our midfield, where it really, really matters, just isn't good enough. You know, I think Erik ten Hag is trying to implement a new style of football. He's broken up the pairing in terms of a pivot of McTominay and Fred, and saying, Fred, I want you as a lone 6, and McTominay, I want you as an 8. A more offensive midfielder helping out Bruno behind the front three, which today was Eriksson in the false 9 and Rashford on the left and Sancho on the right. But they're just not good enough to do the respective roles. It's almost like Ten Hag has two hands tied behind his back. And this is what happens when you don't go out and address the situations that we need, the positions that we need early doors. Okay, we're trying to hang on for Frenkie de Jong. We didn't need more games to tell us how important Frenkie de Jong would be to this system. But we even still need more than that. That midfield today was so off it in terms of McTominay and Fred. I looked at the first couple of minutes. Fred was coming deep to get the ball off the Gea, I think it was, plays a right-footed pass straight to the Brighton player. Shows why he can't be trusted of being that guy. McTominay on the ball, shying away from things, not good enough on the ball, not passing the ball forward, not passing between the lines. I think it's the first goal. Tries to take the ball past the Brighton player, loses it straight away, and then we're on the back foot. They're just not good enough in their respected roles that they're being asked to do, because they're being asked to do different roles now. They are, because we've got a new manager. We're trying to play in a new style. So that's the first thing I think of where we need to start at today, of not just why we lost that game, but why we're not a very good team, and why until we address that area of the pitch, we won't be a very good team. Do you get lots of heart and energy and honesty out of McTominay and Fred? Yes, you do. They're going to run about the pitch and make it nasty and try and get in people's faces, but we're at the next stage of our evolution now. We've got a manager who that's not the be all and end all. We need to have technically sound players to play the system that Erik ten Hag wants to play. And in that area of the pitch, we didn't have it today. Little bits of quality were from Christian Eriksen when he dropped deeper to try and find the ball and get a little bit of quality in there. But overall, it just wasn't good enough in there. The false 9 situation didn't help us today. Now, you could question Erik ten Hag as to why he didn't start Ronaldo. Me personally, I think what he's done is he's proved that he's sticking to his principles and his philosophies and his values. He said that if you're not fit, you can't play for me. Ronaldo needs to prove his fitness. He needs to get there. Now, I know, in hindsight, having played a game like that, it was really poor. We didn't create anything. The front three was fractious. It didn't work with Eriksson as a false 9. But the manager's picked his principles over short-term fixes. I think only the future will tell us whether that was the right thing or the wrong thing. Fullbacks, you know, Diogo Dalot's done well in pre-season, making up relationships with Jadon Sancho, defending quite well, doing well positionally, going forward well. Luke Shaw looked okay in pre-season. Maybe Malacia should have started, you can argue that. But both fullbacks just not at it. And the thing that's annoying is, again, it goes back to signings. Manchester United weren't ready for this pre-season. And yes, of course, I got positive driving up, and I said I predicted we'd win 2-0, because you could say there and say, Flex, you was just in the car driving up saying, you know, you think we'd win 2-0. And that's because we're fans. It's our job in the moment to support the team. It's our job, especially when you're driving up or you're getting ready to watch us. You've got to err on a little bit of positivity. But at the end of the day, we know the same old failings at the club and the board, and the people who make the decisions have not backed Erik ten Hag in time for the first game of the season. That's what we've just seen, you know. It's ironic that the two players that we did bring in as signings were the two players who looked the most comfortable, who had the most impact on the game. I thought Lisandro Martinez was good. I think he's composed. I think he's something that we're going to need going forward. The relationship clearly still needs to build with Maguire. They weren't quite at it for the whole time, which is going to happen. But what I like about Martinez is that his anticipation looked good. He passes between the lines and he will grow. Eriksson, it's hard to judge him in his first game because he spent the majority as a false 9. Not exactly what you want, but when he dropped deeper, especially in the second half when he was playing in midfield, things started to happen when he was on the ball, but it just wasn't enough. I look at Rashford, just still not quite there. He's putting a bit more effort in, yes, but the quality's still not there. Jadon Sancho today, disjointed, fractious, not very confident, not much quality on the ball. And it just went from bad to worse. And you know what? Brighton are a team, and I said it to Owen during the preview, albeit we predicted we would win. But I said Brighton, actually, on the flip side of it, won't be scared of us. This is a manager in Graham Potter who knows exactly how his team plays. His players know exactly what they want from him, and they look very, very organised. And they were very, very comfortable today. You know, Brighton didn't even need to be at their sparkling, dazzling best. You had Danny Welbeck running the line, causing problems. You had Solly March bombing on. Veltman was getting on there as well and making things happen. Trossard doing the same thing. And they just looked, Casado was running things in midfield. They just looked so comfortable the more and more the game went on. The first 5 minutes, I thought we looked okay. And then suddenly, but surely, Brighton started growing into the game. Guys, look, I'm pissed off, of course. We've lost the first game of the season. But essentially, it proves that everything we've been saying, that things can't just change just like that. If you roll out McTominay and Fred in the same team, even if you play them in different positions and split them apart, you're asking them to do something they're just not able to do. I almost feel a bit sorry for them. Like, they're just not able to do the job that Erik ten Hag wants them to do. You know, and when you've got the fullbacks in Luke Shaw and Dalot, who today weren't great, they wasn't offering enough, that's not going to help the team. And just collectively, they just didn't do what they need to do. I can actually see what Erik ten Hag is trying to do. I wouldn't look at that game and say, do you know what? There was no plan. He just rolled the players out in exactly the same way we've always seen them. And it was exactly the same. It was the same bad habits we saw creeping in from the same bunch of players, which is to be expected. How are we going to change that in one summer? And especially, how are we going to change it if those players are still playing? So you can say that the same players kind of made the same mistakes, but I did see a plan. I just see a manager who has a clear identity of how he wants to play, a clear philosophy, but literally has two hands tied behind his back right now because of the quality of players in the certain positions that we need. And then you throw the lack of number 9 available today. It just didn't work. And then it was almost like a bit of a ploy from Ten Hag to make those changes so late, not trusting in Elanga from early, not trusting in Garnacho, not trusting in Donny from earlier. You know, second half, when Donny came on the pitch, I saw little 1-2s, little triangles, and he facilitated our play better. When Eriksen got on the ball again, we were better. But we just couldn't find the back of the net, and we couldn't test Brighton at all. They were in cruise control. You know, Brighton have lost their 2 best players, and this is why, how you know, when you buy players that fit a system and work on it, even if you lose your 2 best players, you're still playing exactly the same way. Doesn't matter who against, and your philosophy outshines individual talent. And I remember I said last season, forget challenging for trophies. We need us to look like a team. And people were saying, what do you mean? But I always said, we need to look like Brighton first. We need to look like West Ham. We need to look like Wolves. We need to look like a team that you have a clear indication of how they want to play. And that's going to take a long time. And I said we had to battle down the hatches. There's going to be many more performances like this. It looks bleak already. And, you know, if the panic signs or the alarm bells weren't ringing to the Manchester United board and the people who make the decisions at the football club that we need more and we need more right now, then they will be now. You know, some people said that even that loss is a good thing because it shows that you can't just jammy your way through it. You can't just have a good performance on the first day of the season like we did against Leeds last year when Paul Pogba got 4 assists and be like, everything's fixed, we're going to win the league. It doesn't work like that. Again, it's another awakening. It's another wake-up call at the fact that we're not very good and we need to improve drastically with signings. Martinez, like I said, was a positive. Eriksen was a positive. Other than that, you know, I think Maguire did okay, but it's just not good enough. We've lost the first game at home. People around me were absolutely raging, and some people, you know, getting really angry. And I get it, the frustration kicks in. But this is where, as fans, we're going to have to be patient because it's going to get a hell of a lot worse. You look at the next game, Brentford away, then after that, it's Liverpool at home. We could do an Arsenal. You know, first 3 games of the season, you might lose all 3. It's going to get worse before it gets better. There's going to be a lot more pain to come, and you've got to be patient. But at the same time, you've got to get the balance of calling out what the fundamental problems are. And it's all good going in on McTominay, it's all good going in on Fred, it's all good going in on Shaw and going on in individuals. But the fact of the matter is that actually, out of the top 6 teams, we had the most to do by this date today, August 7th, whatever the date is. We had the most to do. But Tottenham have done more than us, Arsenal have done more than us, Chelsea have done more than us. You know, even teams below us have done more than us. So I suppose when you look at it like that, how could we expect different results? There's only so much. And I tweeted the other day, I said, look, although there's a lot of negativity, let's remember that we've got a manager who knows what he's doing and wants to make us play progressively and wants to improve us. We've got a good manager. And a lot of people said to me, Flex, but you still can't, you know, wave a wand and expect a manager to do well with players who just aren't good enough. And those people are being proved right today. 100%, and I agree. Maybe I was a little bit naive in saying that, but you know, there are going to be times where we might win games just because of the fact that we're playing in the same way and we're trusting in it. But also, we're going to lose a lot of games like this because the personnel's not good enough, and the manager's got two hands tied behind his back. So roll on Brentford, back to the training board pitch again. But again, I'm massively worried. We're in trouble already. We are in trouble because we need signings, and we need signings now. ASAP. Smash the like on the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know your thoughts on the game today and where we go from here, because already it's the beginning of the season, first game down, the negativity piles in. You don't want to pile on top of that. You have to take a whole holistic outlook on things. But if you're calling a spade, the squad just isn't good enough, and we know that. That's why I'm not shouting and raging. If I see McTominay and Fred in our team, then of course we're going to expect to see things like that, especially when there's more emphasis on the individuals keeping the ball better, which is just not their forte. It's not good enough on the ball to do it. Disappointing day at the office, and roll on Brentford next week. God knows what happened there.